Well, hello there again. So, this might look familiar because I just uploaded a video on how to make this ice farm about, I don't know, 3 hours ago, something like that. Then I found out it's broken. So, I was under the impression that the way ice freezes in cold biomes is it needs to have a solid block above it to stop it from freezing. And if there is a non-solid block above it, it won't stop it from freezing. Turns out that's not true, and I should have tested this in a real cold biome instead of just my simulations here with placing blocks. Turns out ice will only freeze if there is no block above it, and that means transparent blocks will stop it from freezing. Even though they let light through, it doesn't matter. So, that meant in my original farm where there was a piston right here, it was actually stopping this water from freezing and you would never get any ice. So that's not so good. So I had to redesign some stuff to expose this one block of water to the sky so that in cold biomes it would actually freeze. It's the same basic principle as in the other video, which if you didn't catch it will be in the description below. But I had to do some weird stuff here because bud powering, not just with the observer block, but like normal quasi-connectivity bud powering is a problem. I had a simpler design, but it didn't work because things were getting bud powered and it was locking everything up. So this is the design I came up with that works 100% and still exposes this block to the sky. So, what did I change? Well, first of all, originally I had this observer block going out into a T flip-flop based on pistons. It was a sticky piston and a redstone block. That didn't work so well because that redstone block would bud power stuff once I had to move this. So let me go in order here of what changes I made. So this piston right here facing down is a sticky piston. This is the one that was originally over here, right? I had to move it back to expose this to the sky. But if I move it away from the ice block, it can't pick up the ice block. So what I had to do was create this sort of Jebdor-like design, where when the system triggers, this piston will push the piston into place, and then it'll pick up the ice block. And then once the whole system is done, then this one will pull the piston back out of the way and expose this water to the sky again. So, if that sounded complicated, it turns out, even though it's a simple concept, it can get tricky. But basically how I made this work is, in addition to the redstone line from the observer block that's looking for new ice, I have the original block here that went to the facing down piston. That's still there. And it does go into the same block because once this moves in the way, it'll be powered. So that's good. This piston right here that pulled the block, or that pushes the blocks along the line, that's the same. I changed this piston, the one that pulls the block away from the observer block. I changed that. I just added 1 tick of delay. So it was 2 ticks, now it's 3 ticks. And the reason I did that is to make enough time for this third piece that I've added, or fourth piece, I suppose. So the redstone line comes around here now, goes into a 2-tick repeater, and that leads into this sticky piston that pushes the other piston. So what happens is, the first thing that happens, so that'll go into this block, but there's nothing there, so it won't power anything. Then 2 ticks later, this piston will extend. When it does, it'll push this piston in the way of this power line, which will cause it to extend. And then at some point, this will extend about a tick later, but it won't matter because it'll be just kind of touching this piston extension. then the power will go off. And when the power goes off, this will get depowered, right? And so it'll lift up the block. Then this will get depowered. So it'll pull the piston back, but leave the block in place. And then this will get depowered, which will cause it to pull the block over to this side in front of this piston. And then so this happens in 3 ticks, this one happens in 4 ticks. So what it's actually relying on is the fact that once the block is pulled up, the water will flow in and create another cycle. It'll create another block update and create another cycle. And in that second cycle, this piston will push the blocks along to piston storage. So that is the change I had to make over here. But now there was a problem with the locking system, because before the piston was right here, so we just locked it by having a T flip-flop right coming out of this one. And we still do that, but we had to use a different T flip-flop design, because the original T flip-flop we used had a sticky piston with a redstone block. But now that it's over here, it's right next to all of the other pistons. So it's next to this piston, and the piston down there, and that piston. Lots of pistons. So the redstone block getting that close was bud powering all sorts of pistons. It was bud powering this one from above, and then I tried to move it, and then it was bud powering this one diagonally. It was breaking everything. So I had to avoid bud powering by getting rid of the redstone block. And instead, I switched to this T flip-flop. So this is a dropper facing up, into a dropper facing sideways, into a hopper facing down, into another dropper facing the other way. And so it's a circle. So when this gets strongly powered, which the observer block does, it will actually cycle the item. So if the item's in here, which, by the way, the item is a shovel so that it gives a strong signal, but it doesn't really matter in this case because we have a repeater, so it can be any item. But you just have one. When the item's in here and it gets powered, it's going to shoot it up, and then this will get powered because this is strongly powered, so it'll push it over into here, and then it'll drop down. But if the item is in here, then it's going to actually shoot over here. So it's going to hit here first, because this is the one getting powered. There's not going to be anything in it, so it won't do anything. And then this one will power and shoot the item into here. And so basically the item's going to go back and forth between these two. And when the item's in here, this comparator will give an output, and we just have that sending a signal into this block. So technically, like, there could be bud powering if this powered that. But I think what happens is it doesn't actually give that an update. So this one gets triggered first. And once this piston is pushed down, that piston can't extend, so it doesn't matter if it's powered. So yeah. And then obviously if I do that, it opens up. And so by doing that, when this is extended, even if this gets powered, it won't be able to push it. So it just locks the whole system the way it's supposed to. So if we look, we have 2 spaces for ice. So now that this is exposed to the sky, it could freeze. So if there's ice, it got added to the storage. Ice got added to the storage. And now you'll see it's locked, so ice does nothing. But if I do this, yeah. So now it's unlocked, but so before the block update caused by the retraction of the piston would make sure that it wouldn't lock up if there was ice there. In this case, that's not going to happen, so if it ever does lock up, you can just come back here and break this ice, and that'll unlock it. So, yeah, it's not as robust as the original design, but the original design also didn't work. So, yeah. But now it's unlocked, and it's fine, and you'll see if there's nothing there, then it will still... it won't lock in the first place. It'll handle that. So, yeah. you might want to put in like, actually no, you can see from here. So you might not want to cover that up, this spot right here, so you can look in and see, if it's frozen. Then you know to go and break it. And of course you can cover this up, and it's just fine, so that you have a nice wall back here. Yeah. So that's it. I like my other design better. It was a lot more elegant, but ice doesn't work the way I thought it did, so I had to kind of improvise here. But this works. Still a fully automatic, not even have to AFK, just fully automatic ice farm in Minecraft 1.11 using the observer blocks. If I sound disappointed, it's because I am a little bit, that I couldn't get it to work as elegantly as I wanted, but gotta work with what you got. So, after that little fix, until next time, keep farming ice, keep fixing your mistakes, and keep redstoning.